What's up guys, Legend here, and today we're looking at strategies to dominate the enemy team in big team battle. If you're struggling to get kills or keep losing the objective, you're in the right place, because today I'm not only going to help you get your kill count up, but help you stay alive much longer and overall help your team win the objective. First off, let's talk about weapon starts. A good weapon start in a big team battle match is extremely important, whether it be at the very beginning of a match or just after respawning. Today I'll be covering 3 different weapon starts and probably the most prominent ones in big team battle. The first start is a long range start, which consists of obtaining an S7 sniper, skewer, shock rifle, or stalker rifle as main weapons and a battle rifle or commando as a side. If you want a long range start at the beginning of the match, simply get a BR or commando in the beginning locations and then proceed to get either a shock rifle or stalker rifle from their weapon spawns as well. These weapon locations do change depending on the match, so for example, the battle rifle won't always be in the same location, which is why it's important to memorize the weapon spawns, which you can do by playing on big team battle maps in Academy. Now when it comes to getting an S7 sniper or skewer in a long range start, that just mainly depends on what the map decides to randomly give you for power weapons. Either way, getting to the power weapon spawns first at the beginning of the match is the most important part for a long range start, because if you don't, the only way you'll get them is from weapon drops, which is pretty much pure luck. If you don't get there first, that's okay, because this is where our next weapon start comes in, the mid start. The mid start consists of a BR or commando as a main and an AR, Hydra, or power weapon like a Spanker or Cinder Shot as a side. The mid start is built for mid-range shooting with your main and taking out enemy vehicles with your side weapon. And now for our last weapon start, the rusher start. The rusher start is a short range start and is pretty much already given to you at spawn, considering you get an AR and a sidekick. However, I would upgrade this start by substituting the AR with a bulldog, energy sword, or gravity hammer if possible. This is the perfect start if you like getting behind enemy lines and invading closed-in spaces. However, I don't consider it the best of the 3, considering sometimes it's very situational. Now that you know what the starts are, let's get into how to use these 3 starts to their full potential. For the long range start, keeping your distance and finding a good window to shoot from is key. So once you spawn in, grab a BR or commando and a long range weapon if possible, and then find good cover to protect yourself and an open space to kill anyone out in the open. The long range start is all about finding a good spot to reach enemies and keeping yourself secluded and away from the enemies as well, while giving you as much sight to them as possible. Perch locations in this case is where the long range start works best. For example, something like this spot. It gives you some safety from these metal pieces right here and offers sight to this entire half of the map. Another example would be here, because it can be hard for enemies to reach you, but it also gives you a good view of this area. So overall, the long range start is the best for those wanting to play it safe and clean out open areas. However, I would only choose this start if you have good enough aim for it. You don't want to be keeping yourself in the back of the map and be missing all your shots, because even though you won't be dying much, your kill count will suffer. So if you like to play it safe, make sure you're good at using long range weapons, because you'll suffer in this start if you aren't. And now for the mid range start. The mid start is all about finding the best angle to disable enemy vehicles, while at the same time keeping yourself at a good enough distance to pick enemies off one by one when needed. So if you spawn in and get a BR and a Hydra, you want to find a safe area and angle to stop vehicles in their path and get rid of anyone traveling there too. For example, this spot would be the best for a mid start, because not only do you have an angle where you can destroy enemy vehicles that come near, but you'll be able to kill anyone who tries to walk by as well. So overall, the mid start is the best for those wanting to get a little closer to the action, while at the same time getting rid of enemy pushes in vehicle choke points and at a safe mid distance. And now for the final start, the rusher start. The rusher start is all about making sure that small areas like buildings, bases, and other closed-in choke points get completely cleared of enemies. So if you spawn in and get a heatwave or bulldog and a sidekick as your side weapon, you want to head straight to enemy choke points where enemies like hiding and grouping up, and all while getting to those spots in the sneakiest way possible, so long-range users don't wipe you out. This is the perfect start for anyone who likes close-up and fast-paced action, and also for someone who's extremely good at dealing with multiple enemies at once, which typically takes a good amount of awareness and recognizing surroundings for quick action and smart kills. Now that we've looked at how each of these starts should be used, let's talk about the disadvantages of each and the common mistakes I see players make while using these starts. First off, with the long range start, very obviously its disadvantages are up close combat. So anything involved with being inside buildings, bases, or closed-in spaces make this start miserable. I see plenty of players try getting in close quarters combat with a sniper and a BR, and it doesn't end well. I would try not to go near any choke points or popular paths at all while using this, because you'll just get destroyed. So keep yourself at a safe distance with a perfect view of where enemies like to go. For the mid start, it's pretty much the same as the long range, with the exception that you'll want to be near roads and popular areas while being in a safe spot. Though you will be near roads and popular spots, don't ever get yourself involved in those spots because you can't handle close-up combat with this start, which is a mistake I see a lot of people make. Though you will be guarding popular roads and spots, don't ever start using those spots because you'll probably won't be able to handle the heat. Like for me personally, I wouldn't start crossing roads and choke points with this loadout because that puts me straight out in the open and at a disadvantage. So hug roads with this loadout and don't start walking on them. And now for the rusher start. It's pretty obvious that this start is not good in long range. Like you wouldn't want to be on top of a building or sniper perch with a rusher start because you literally have no advantage there. And you don't have any weapons that can reach anyone you see. However, this doesn't mean you just run out into the open either. This is probably the most common mistake I see, and that's that people will just run straight out into the open with an energy sword, hoping to get a kill. Yes, you should seek out choke points and enemy groups with a rusher start. However, you should never run out into the open. Always find the stealthiest and sneakiest way to get to choke points, even if it means going behind enemy lines. Though this start does take on a lot of action, it should only be used if you can find a discreet way of getting to your location without being noticed. And guys, before I move on, a tip that you absolutely need to know is that you don't have to stick to one start for the entire match. For example, for me personally, I'll switch through multiple starts in one match because it all depends on what my team needs and what's going on with the objective, which leads me to our next part of the video, the objective. The objective should be the main driver for your choice of weapons. If I'm playing capture the flag or total control and I want to defend my flag or zone out in the open, then the long range start or mid range start is perfect. But if you need to capture a zone or defend one in a closed in spot from up close, you'll need a rusher start. If you want to eliminate an enemy zone from far away and then capture it after, you can go from using a long range start, picking them off one by one, to using a rusher start and getting rid of anyone who's left. If you get in a Razorback or Warthog and want to capture an enemy flag, you'll want a rusher start with a BR, as it can kill anyone who's defending the flag and then wipe out anyone who's trying to get you from a mid-range. So overall, the objective and starts go hand in hand. And if you keep trying to play the objective with the wrong weapons, you'll end up losing the match. For example, if everyone on your team just had assault rifles and jumped in to capture a zone in the open, they'd get wiped out by the enemy team's sniper and BR users because your team wouldn't be able to compete. However, if it was in a confined space like this spot, the mid to long range enemies would have a hard time competing with close range weapons because not only are you all in cover, but if anyone tried to come in, they'd get blasted to death. So not only is the objective about using starts to your strengths, but backing up your team with what they're lacking. For example, if there's an enemy Wasp that's just crushing my team, I'm not going to keep my AR and just try shooting at it because I'll just get wiped out too. What I'm going to do is I'm going to head straight for a mid or long range start, whether that be a sniper, skewer, or Hydra, and then get rid of that dude, because a rusher start isn't going to do that. For another example, when it's capture the flag, I'm going to be more prone to using the mid start because in capture the flag, you'll see enemies coming in mongooses, warthogs, and razorbacks, all to try and take your flag. So using a mid start and guarding those roads will be the best to get rid of those vehicles and anyone else following them. To wrap things up, I know sometimes you won't always be able to get the weapons you want. Sometimes the dude to the left of you is going to run faster and pick up the BR you wanted. And so you'll have to start with weapons that you may hate using. But it's better than getting impatient, running out in the open, and putting yourself in a disadvantage by using the weapons you start with in the worst possible way. There will also be times when you'll have to sacrifice a power weapon because you know that you don't need to use it in that situation. And it's hard giving up, but it's still better than trying to use that weapon in a situation that it wasn't built for. But anyway, guys, that wraps up Big Team Battle Strategies. If you have tips or suggestions or questions of any other kind, comment down below so people can see. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, click the like button and subscribe, as well as click the bell icon to get reminders when I upload. And I'll see you guys in the next one.